Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Board of School Trustees for Fort Wayne Community Schools. This meeting will be open to the public during Indiana's ongoing public health emergency as declared by Governor Holcomb. Masks must be worn at all times on Fort Wayne Community School grounds. Social distancing will be practiced at the meeting. Therefore, some members of the public who wish to attend may be excluded. If you plan to attend media, please email Public Information Officer Krista Stockman. All others email our Clerk of the Board, Angela Filler. The public is encouraged to view the meeting at Cable Comcast 54 and Frontier 24 and the live stream on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. Priority for attendance in person will be given to the members of the media. We'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our roll call of members.
Good evening. Riley Booker, 4th District.
Jennifer Mathias, 2nd District.
Maria Norman, Member at Large.
Noah Smith, 3rd District.
And I am Ann Duff, President of the Board and Member at Large. To my left is Angela Filler, Clerk of the Board, and our Superintendent, Dr. Mark Daniel. And Julie Hollingsworth is not with us this evening, and Steve Corona is joining us remotely.
Yes, present. Glad to be there by telephone.
All right, thank you, Steve. Okay, we have no awards and recognitions, so we'll begin with our consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from our September 27th meeting, our vouchers and payroll, and our personnel report. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I'm supposed to do roll call vote. Sorry about that. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. And next, I do a roll call vote since we have a member who is phoning in. So next up, we have the budget adoption and resolution for 2022. It is recommended that the board approve the proposed Fort Wayne Community Schools 2022 appropriations budgets, the 2022 levy, the 3-year capital projects plan for 2022 through 2024, and the bus replacement plan for the years 2022 to 2026. A public budget presentation was made at the September 13th, 2021 Board of School Trustees meeting. All board adopted funds and proposed budgets were discussed and estimated tax rates were reviewed. The notice for the capital projects plan and the bus replacement plan were properly advertised on September 13th, 2021 on Indiana Gateway and the FWCS website. A hearing to allow the public to make comments on the advertised budgets, the 3-year capital projects plan, and the 5-year bus replacement plan was held on September 27th, 2021. All legal requirements for advertisement and hearings have been met for all funds, the capital projects plan, and the bus replacement plan. Chief Financial Officer Kathy Friend will be available to answer questions. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay. Roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And we will move on to our bus purchase for 2022, and that is Raleigh.
And just for the record, would you mind voting as well?
Okay, thank you. Aye. Moving on.
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of 2 84-passenger buses, 4 24-passenger buses with wheelchair lifts, and one 14-passenger special purpose activity bus from Curlin Bus Sales and Leasing, Inc. of Silver Lake, Indiana, for $816,000, $410. The total includes a trade-in allowance of $35,500. Indiana purchasing law allows for purchases made through competitively bid contracts from approved cooperative purchasing entities. This pricing is based from the Central Indiana Education Service Center's cooperative bid and includes an additional 2% price reduction through the manufacturer's Thomas Built Buses Partners in Production early order pricing program. This purchase is part of the scheduled replacement of the bus fleet. Funding will come from the, from the Operations Fund. Thank you. Frank Jackson, Director of Transportation, and Rod Rathage, Director of Purchasing Services, are available to answer questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move approve.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve? Steve? Well, we've lost Steve. That's aye from me. Okay, we will move on.
I'm back.
Oh, Steve,
I'm back.
you're back. So is that an aye from you for the bus purchase 2022?
I vote aye, yes.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, we will move on to Common School Fund application. Jennifer.
It is recommended that the board approve the application for and acceptance of an advancement from the Indiana Common School Fund, CSF, for educational technology equipment in the amount of $2 million. Related information. Advancements from the Common School Fund provide funds for school districts to purchase education technology. The Fort Wayne Community Schools, FWCS, will use these monies to help fund the FWCS technology plan previously submitted to the state. Technology funds are currently insufficient to fund all the technology needs of the school corporation. Funds are provided as a loan and are awarded to the school corporations on the basis of assessed value, AV, per pupil, with low AV per pupil corporations receiving funds before high AV per pupil corporations. FWCS therefore cannot be assured of receiving the requested advancement. Should the application be successful, funds will be budgeted in the debt service fund to repay this loan beginning in the year of 2023. Interest on the loan is expected to be no more than 4% and is likely to be as low as 1%. Common School Fund advancements differ from School Technology Advancements Account, STAA loans, which FWCS receives on an annual basis. Unlike CSF advancements, STAA advancements are given to all applying schools corporations, regardless of their assessed value per pupil ranking. Questions will be addressed by Chief Financial Officer Kathy Friend and Chief Systems Officer Jack Bird.
Thank you, Jennifer. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Have we tried this in the past and were we successful or?
Yes, we do this twice a year. This is our fall application, and then we do a spring application.
It's
And-
noted that our technology funds are currently insufficient to fund all technology needs for the school corporation. Is that the education fund or the operation fund?
It's the operation fund.
Okay.
Anything
Thank you.
else? Thank you, Jack. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys are on it. Steve?
Aye.
Aye, from me. Okay, thank you. Okay, Maria, emergency projects?
It is recommended that the board declare an emergency for the following projects and allocate funds from the emergency allocation within the capital projects plan.
Adams Elementary cafeteria wall repair came in at $35,428. There was vehicular damage structural repairs there. Helen P. Brown Natatorium deck drain repairs, pool deck drain repairs coming in at $36,125.14. Anthus Auto Center gas line repair and replace leaking gas main, $28,820. The South Side Auditorium exterior wall repairs, remove fallen sections of exterior plaster and install new metal panels comes in at $41,235 for a total of $141,608.14. The 2021 capital projects plan consists of all capital projects that cost $10,000 or more. New projects over $10,000 determined after the CPP, and that is the capital projects plan, was approved are required to follow advertisement and approval requirements of the amended CPP. However, Indiana Code 20-40-18-6 allows the board to determine that an emergency exists and therefore amends the current CPP without the usual amendment procedures. The 2021 Operations Fund budget includes an appropriation for emergency capital projects. And Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, is available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Darren?
I had a couple, Darren. 141,000 roughly. How much do we have left in the emergency fund?
We allocate $200,000 a year.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. And then we had a car crash into our building.
It was a delivery truck, and we were able to reclaim the cost for that from their insurance company.
Okay. That was my next question. Great answer.
Yeah. Anything else for Darren? Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. Okay, and on to the next is our appointment of project architect, engineers for the expansion and renovation of Scott Academy and in addition to Abbott Elementary. It is recommended that the board approve the appointment of a project architect engineer for the following projects: the expansion and renovation of Levon R. Scott Academy. That'll be Elevatus Architecture. For their fee is $638,000 and the construction budget is $11,600,000. In addition to Abbott Elementary, the architect engineer is Moak Park Group. Design contract fee is $143,700 and the estimated construction budget is $2,395,000. Indiana law requires that projects over $100,000 make use of a registered architect or a professional engineer for developing plans and specifications. Project architects and engineers need to be appointed now to allow sufficient time for planning and bidding of the project to ensure construction starts during the summer of 2022. The project at Scott Academy will be funded from the 2020 school building basic renewal, restoration, and safety project, and the project at Abbott Elementary School will be funding from the elementary and secondary school emergency relief grant. And Darren Hess will be available again to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Darren?
Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, Steve.
Just a timeline for these projects at Scott and Abbott?
The projects are, hopefully will start this summer with Abbott, a 12-month lead time or construction time and 18 months for Scott Academy. But a lot of that is going to be subject to availability of equipment, products, especially steel right now. So that's the intention, is 12 months and 18 months for both those projects.
Thank you.
So I believe at Scott we have the, I don't know what you call them besides trailers that they use, so this will eliminate that at Scott.
That is correct.
Any other?
At this time, do you feel like we can hit those 12 and 18 months through the vendors, or what are they telling you?
A lot of that we'll know when we go through the design process. It'll help us select what type of products and materials we're going to use. So that's why we have construction manager on these two projects to help us through that, because they're doing it every day.
This is a new system we adapted this last year, right?
That is correct.
And so we're going to be doing more of these, do you think, going forward, it looks like?
Quite possibly, yes.
Okay. And what are you seeing in the way of pricing right now with materials and supplies and labor for that matter?
There's an upwards trend, anywhere from 12 to 30% increases across the board, depending on which material or contractor you're using, but they're all ticking up.
Did you say 12 to 30%?
Yes.
Anything else for Darren? Okay, thank you. Okay, Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. All right, next we have the appointment of construction manager, and that is Noah.
Recommend the board approve the construction manager, CMC, for the pre-construction services contracts for the following projects: expansion and renovation of Scott Academy in addition to Abbott Elementary. Recommend to be using Wagon Construction Company for the Scott renovation and expansion, and FCI Construction for the addition to Abbott Elementary for $23,250 for Scott and $40,000 for Abbott. The expansion and renovation at Scott Academy consists of a proposed expansion to the building to create a 5-section elementary school to address the growing population in the southeast portion of the district. The addition to Abbott Elementary consists of a proposed 6-classroom addition to house the preschool and kindergarten and to reallocate existing classrooms within the existing building to adequately house a 4-section elementary. Contract procurement method for these projects is the construction manager as constructor. CMC for publicly funded projects is allowable per IC 5-32. The recommendation includes a design services contract based on a percentage of construction value as well as fixed fee for construction fixed fee for contractor pre-construction services. An additional recommendation will be presented at a later date with the establishment of the final guaranteed maximum price of the project. The project for Scott Academy will be funded by the 2020 Building Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project, the bond. The project for Abbott Elementary will be funded from ESSER dollars. Director of Facilities Darren Hess is to answer questions again.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren at this time?
Darren, can you explain to me what's going to go on, or what kind of expansion is going to happen at Abbott, and explain what a 4-section elementary means?
Sure. So the 4 sections would mean 4 kindergarten classes for first grade and on up to 5th. At Abbott, they are a 4-section school, but they're operating in a 3.5-section school for the most part. So we're going to be adding on 4 kindergarten rooms and 2 pre-K rooms, and then they can reallocate the other rooms for the other grades.
And where in that, I've been in the school, so can you tell me about, I mean, is that coming out towards the playground? Is that expanding out the sides?
Maybe. We have our first design meeting tomorrow, so we started looking at options on how that looks.
Okay.
It likely will go to the east, southeast by the playground.
All right, thank you.
Right now, we know that Abbott is over capacity as far as the number of students who are there. Will the addition of these classrooms take care of that?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. Okay, and we move on to purchase of property for Scott Academy. It is recommended that the board authorize the purchase of the following property located near Scott Academy, 724 East Fairfax Avenue. Appraisal one was $36,400, and 2 was $36,000, so that makes our purchase price $36,000. The purchase of the property on this block will allow the school to expand and will allow for additional parking and proper separation of bus and parent pickup lines. The project is funded from the Operations Fund, which is identified in the Capital Projects Plan. Director of Facilities Darren Hess will be available for questions. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Will be approved.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren?
Is this I don't remember, did we previously purchase another property around Scott, maybe last year?
2 properties up by the, it'd be the, up by the parking lot. This is actually all the way to the west. It's about 6 vacant lots.
Are we looking at any other properties in that area to do the expansion, or is this it?
Yeah, we have 3 or 4 other properties that we're in conversation with.
Okay. Is this property being purchased from a homeowner, or do you have any idea?
This is actually vacant property that's being purchased by a church.
Okay.
What's the size of this property that we're purchasing?
I don't know. I apologize for that. I'm guessing about 2 acres, acre and a half.
But on the map you gave us, it's about 5 city lots, is that?
Yeah, it's 5 city lots and half of a vacated street.
Will we need to purchase additional properties around the school to complete that project for the expansion?
We have enough property to complete the expansion. By securing a couple other properties just makes it a little easier for mobility, because we're going to locate a parent pickup lane on the site to be able to get parents off of Fairfax, and then a larger bus lane, because we're going to increase the population of the school to a 5-section school. So there's going to be additional parking needed, and then also on-site stormwater retention. So it's going to eat up that space pretty quick.
Do you know, is the property to the south that's marked on our map as residential, are there homes there, or are that vacant 2 lots?
Off of Wilson? Are you looking?
Yes. Wilson and the vacated road. Kind of, it's, looks like it's west of the property, south of the lot we're purchasing.
There's a mix of empty lots that are tied to a homeowner that has a home, like, on one lot, but then they own the other 2 vacant lots.
Gotcha.
There's about 3 of them like that.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Darren. Raleigh?
Let me get back to it.
Oh, you have a question?
Oh, no.
Oh, roll call vote.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria? Aye. Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. Thank you. Okay, Raleigh, Nutrition Processing Center Warehouse Expansion Project.
Okay. It is recommended that the board approve the following Progressive Design Build Services contract for the Nutrition Processing Center Warehouse Expansion Project. CME Corporation Phase 2 Services with guaranteed maximum Progressive Design Build contract for $1,792,164.79. On September 13th, 2021, the board approved Phase 1 Design Build Services with CME Corporation using the Progressive Design Build process under criteria set forth in the Indiana Public Works Design Build Law. CME Corporation purchased or provided a Phase 1 report for review with the Technical Review Committee, along with the final guaranteed maximum pricing, October 7th, 2021. The project will be funded from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant, ESSER, and project specifications require the work to be completed by July 23rd, 2022. Director of Facilities Darren Hess will be available to answer questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren?
This was to create more cold storage for storing and holding, acquiring frozen
yeah.
and cold items, is that right?
We're going to be increasing the freezer section and also the dry goods section to be able to secure more product, so we have it on hand.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Darren. Roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. Okay, and Jennifer, appointment of project architect engineers for 2022.
It is recommended that the board approve the appointment of a project architect/engineer for the following 2022 CPP projects at various locations. Building envelope, Martin Riley Architects Engineers, contract fee is $103,155. The estimated construction budget is $1.587 million. Flooring, Bonavita Architecture, $17,825. Estimated construction budget, $216,050. General Building Systems, Kelty Tappy Design, Inc., estimated design contract fee for $72,744, construction budget of $909,300. Site and Traffic, Martin Riley Architecture Engineers, estimated contract fee $41,850, construction budget $558,000. Mechanical and Electrical, Primary Engineering, estimated design contract fee $196,710, construction budget $2,481,250. Wayne High School softball field improvements, Jones, Petrie, Rafinsky, estimated design contract fee $23,200, budget $290,000. Indiana law requires that projects over $100,000 make use of a registered architect or a professional engineer for developing plans and specifications. Project architect engineers need to be appointed now to allow sufficient time for planning and bidding of the project to ensure construction starts during the summer of 2022. The projects will be funded from the operations funds, which is identified in the capital projects plan. Director of Facilities, Darren Hess, is still here.
Certainly is. Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren?
Darren, are these just for general services for each, like all of our schools, or for a specific school other than the Wayne one?
Yes, these are for our cyclical type projects, roof replacements, door replacements, carpet replacements in classrooms that will pretty much touch every building in our district in some shape.
In the mechanical, electrical, primary engineering, where are they based out of?
They're here in Fort Wayne.
And Jones, Petrie, Rafinsky, they're in Fort Wayne too, right?
Yes,
So all these are in Fort Wayne based ones, right?
correct.
Were any of the previous ones not Fort Wayne based?
No, they're also Fort Wayne based.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Darren. Roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. And Maria, Snyder and Southside High School HVAC projects.
It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contracts for HVAC improvements at Snyder and Southside High Schools. Current mechanical with a base bid and total contract of $1,855,000, and then automated logic for the controls base bid and total contract of $313,766. This project consists of building air handler replacements and other ventilation improvements at Snyder and Southside High Schools. Primary Engineering designed the project. The projects will be funded from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant. The existing building automation systems are proprietary, and Automated Logic is the single source vendor. And at the bottom of your sheets, you'll see there were 5 bids that came in, with Current Mechanical winning that process. And Darren is here to answer any questions that we have.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move approve.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren? Okay. Seeing there are none, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. And next, we have Northrop Auditorium stage lighting. It is recommended that the board approve the following contract for replacement of the auditorium stage lighting at Northrop High School. from Advanced Systems Group. The total contract is $282,860. The replacement of the stage lighting in the auditorium at Northrop High School was procured separately from the base construction projects due to the unique nature of the work to be completed. Bid documents were prepared by primary engineering, and only one bid was received. This recommendation is within the program budget and will be funded from the 2016 School Building Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project. Project specifications require the work to be complete by November 24th, 2021. Questions will be addressed by Darren Hess. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Darren?
So Advanced Systems is doing this or primary engineering?
Advanced Systems Group is the contractor.
And they're based here in Fort Wayne too?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Darren, I feel like we've done lighting at Northrop before. Is this different than what we've done in the auditorium at Northrop?
It is. The lighting we did previously was the house lighting, or where the spectators sit. This is the on stage lighting, the theatrical lighting and rigging that goes along with it.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Darren. Roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Aye. Jen? Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
All right.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. And we have next the mechanical PPI project, Noah.
Recommend the board approve the following construction contracts for mechanical physical plant improvements, PPI projects. Project Design and Piping, Inc. has bid a total of $2.5 million for a combination of north side and south side projects. And Automated Logic, which I believe is the sole source provider, to do the control base for $107,027. The project consists of cooling plant replacements at north side and south side high schools. Primary engineering designed the project. This recommendation is within the program budget, which was identified in 2022 capital projects plan. It is funded from the operations fund and the ESSR grant. The existing building automation system controls are proprietary to Automated Logic and is a single source provider for this work. And once again, we have Darren answering questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren?
Darren, I see that there are two different kinds of, or like brands. Oh no, they were the same. Just kidding. Are those the better ones? I mean,
They're all industry standard. We have experience with all three of those vendors.
okay, awesome. And so these are good. Okay.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Darren. Okay, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer? Aye. Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye, sorry.
Steve? Steve, are you there?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. An aye from me. Okay. Move on to ventilation projects at Adams, Forest Park, Studi, Kikianga, and Southside. It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contracts for ventilation improvements at Adams, Forest Park, and Studi Elementary Schools, Kikianga Middle School, and Southside High School. Jarig Sheet Metal, their base bid is $461,283 for Adams, Forest Park, and Studi. BA Romine Sheet Metal, their base bid for Kikianga is $392,817. Morris Sheet Metal Corporation base bid for Southside is $640,500. And Automated Logic for Adams, Forest Park, Studi, Kikianga, and Southside has a base bid of $531,524. This project consists of ventilation improvements at Adams, Forest Park, and Studi Elementary, Kikianga Middle, and Southside High School. Primary engineering designed the project, and these projects will be funded from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER, grant. The existing building automation systems are proprietary, and Automated Logic is a single source vendor for this work. Again, questions will be addressed by Darren Hess. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I do. I'm looking back at before we approved the Snyder Southside High School HVAC projects on one contract, and is that solely just HVAC and no ventilation back with the Snyder Southside? Because here we have Southside again.
Yeah, so there's a lot of equipment at Southside, being a high school, of course. So we strategically separated like projects and packaged them differently. So like this one here is just the existing relief and exhaust fans at Southside, whereas the first one included large air handlers that were grouped with other air handlers. So trying to package projects to allow the best competition, and then also interest contractors such as BA Rome Mines, which is a small contractor. And these are all sheet metal contractors, so there's not a mechanical contractor that is marking the work up. So it's just kind of strategic.
Okay, thank you.
And Derek, I'm familiar with those Rome Mines and Morse located in Fort Wayne as well.
Yes.
Anything else? Thank you, Darren. Roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. And move on to contract amendment for construction manager as constructor for the renovation of Wayne High School. Raleigh.
It is recommended that a board approve the following contract amendment with Hagerman, Inc. as part of the construction manager as constructor CMC contract for the renovation of Wayne High School, previously approved on March 22nd, 2021. The work item is a fire protection for Wayne High School in the amount of $1,697,838. Amended contract amount is $1.7 million. The renovation project at Wayne High School consists of architectural, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical renovations. The fire protection package includes the design and construction of the fire protection sprinkler to be installed as part of the overall renovation. The contract procurement method for this project is the construction manager as constructor for publicly funded projects as allowable per law. As design of the project has progressed, it was determined that early procurement of the fire protection sprinkler system package would be beneficial to the design process. Additional recommendations for the remaining construction work items will be presented at a later date, along with the establishment of a final overall guaranteed maximum price for the project. The projects will be funded from a combination of the 2020 School Building Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project and Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant. Director of Facilities, Darren Hess, will be available to answer questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren?
Madam Chair, I do. Darren, can you please explain what advantage we are going to capture here by moving ahead on purchasing the fire protection system?
They're sitting in the same room as the designers as we're designing the rest of the project, or have been designing the rest of the project. So they provide their expertise on means and methods of constructing above the ceiling and below bulkheads, and we use that pre-construction value to help mitigate some costs that maybe weren't found by asking the contractor their advice through the process.
So to be clear, we're not buying a system, we're just buying their design work?
This is the design work, all the materials, and the installation and certification of the fire protection system.
For 50 grand? That's the difference in the contract?
This contract is $1,697,838. The original contract was the pre-construction services with Wygant Construction. That was approved back in March.
So we're not going from 1,697,000 to 1,747,000, we're doing an additional 1,697,000?
Yes.
And that includes design services, but also the physical infrastructure for the fire sprinkler systems?
Correct.
Anything else?
I guess, how are we coming in on the budget? You mentioned the cost going up for the budget of Wayne, and particularly Wayne, Miami, and Blackhawk, as I recall, were the main beneficiaries of this last referendum dollars.
So this current contract here, we were just slightly under the estimated budget. We'll be coming back in a couple weeks with another amendment to this, because this was the Wayne, Forest Park, and Washington improvements as a contract. And the Washington Secure Vestibule project came in about 12% over budget as of last week. So we're starting to see, unfortunately, prices increase.
Do you think we'll be within our margin of error for the referendum dollars, or be close and wait and see?
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball. I'd like to be able to say yes, but we do have contingencies in each of the projects, and also program contingency to help offset some of those.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Darren. Roll call vote, Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria? Noah? Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. So Jennifer, goals for expenditure categories.
It is recommended that the board approve a resolution to set expenditure category goals for 2021-22 and 2022. The goal is to improve upon the current percentages between the expenditures for the student instructional categories and the other expenditure categories. Beginning with the 2007-2008 school year, the school districts are required to establish goals for each category of expenditures that will increase the school corporation's allocation of taxpayer resources directly to student instruction and learning, in light of the unique circumstances present in the school corporation. The Department of Education most recently reported the following percentages. Student instructional expenditures, and these were all 2018-19. For the state, 57.4%. Fort Wayne Community Schools was at 59.0%. Academic achievement, state, 47.8%. FWCS, 48.6%. Instructional support, state, 9.6%. FWCS, 10.4%. Other expenditures, state 42.6%, Fort Wayne Community Schools 41.0%. Overhead and operational, 22.5 at the state, 21.1 for Fort Wayne Community Schools. Non-operational of the state, 20.1%, Fort Wayne Community Schools 19.9%. Fort Wayne Community Schools was 1.6% greater than the state average in dollars spent on instruction. Chief Financial Officer Kathy Friend will be here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Kathy?
So the most recent data is 2018, 2019, I take it, from the state? And this is a demonstration of how we're using tax dollars and trying to get them in the classroom versus paying people like you, for example, right?
Yeah, the state has a chart of accounts that's used universally by all school districts, so that way it's an apples-to-apples comparison with the state as well as other school districts. And so this includes all funds of the district, including our Title I and general or operations fund, education fund, and all funds.
So someone to say we have too much administrative bloat, this is an area where we could demonstrate and show, no, we're right in line with what the state recommends, requires, requests, if not better than what the state.
Yeah, it's not necessarily what they require, but it's what other, if you looked at everybody else in the state, that's how we compared to everyone else in the state.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is comparison between us and everyone in the state?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else for Kathy?
And so at what point do we have an idea of what our goals will be for the 2021-22?
Well, that's what's interesting about this requirement. When the state came up with this requirement, basically what was recommended is that we follow the format of this resolution that I have included here, basically to just say that we we aspire to do better than where we currently are in terms of our dollars spent towards instruction. So, it has, some of the numbers could vary from time to time. For instance, if you had a large grant that provided dollars for academics that goes away, then that could change what your total number looks like. So it's hard to say, you wouldn't just always say, well, I want that number to be 90% or something like that. There's a lot of factors involved in that decision. So basically we're by doing this resolution, we're just complying with the requirement that state statute set out for us. Of course, we always want to spend, a greater percentage on instruction.
When does the state typically have those numbers from last year available?
They, the 18, these numbers were published in November of 2020. So I'm assuming next month then we'll get the 1920 numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And while the state is very delinquent in reporting their information, how would we compare currently to this data?
I'm sorry I didn't bring that with me
Okay.
today. I can get that, but I don't have it with me.
Generally, you believe that we're in line or better?
Oh, then with the state, yeah.
Well, I mean, still with the state, but
Oh.
even compared to
I mean,
ourselves?
I can't say that we exponentially grow every single year. Again, it depends on all of the sources of revenue we have. For instance, like now with the ESSER grant, keep in mind, we're going to spend a large percentage of that one grant on facility projects, as you saw tonight. So that won't go to instruction. That'll go down below. So it doesn't mean we're not spending money on instruction to support students. It just means in this particular case, we got more dollars that would help in the construction phase. So that's why it's kind of tricky. You have to go and look at all of the details. And other school districts could be in the same situation. So it depends on their funding. And I think, one of the reasons we look better, too, than the statewide, because as a district with high poverty, we get certain grants because of that, like Title I, and so that, we should be spending more on instruction than the state average because of those extra dollars that we get.
So the goal is to improve upon current percentages. And what happens?
Nothing.
This is great data, but what happens when it's not? It's just basically data to show us where we're at.
Right. Basically, there have been no, there's nothing in the statute that says if you don't meet those requirements that something's going to happen. They just, you may recall, back when this was done, there was a big push around the country to say you spent 65% of your dollars in the classroom. And so this was, I think, in response to that, and that was, like I said, that was all over the whole country. There was discussion about that. So they didn't come back and say, okay, you have to spend 65%. Instead, they came up with this and said, tell us what you think you're going to do. I know it's not perfect, the response, but this is actually how everybody else is responding as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Kathy. Okay, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. So we move on to defined learning. That is Maria.
It is recommended that the board approve a one-year contract from Define Learning in the amount of $400,985 for the 2021-22 school year. The Define Learning platform will support the design and implementation of project-based learning where students will have the opportunity to make real-world connections. Defined learning will support the integration of the 4 elements and 6 competencies of everyday deep learning into student learning. Educators will have the opportunity to learn the foundations and applications of project-based learning, authentic performance tasks, and have the opportunity to leverage student voice. Various stakeholders will have the opportunity to earn micro-credentials that align with effective classroom practices. Defined learning is the sole source provider. Indiana law does not require bidding for purchases made from sole source providers. Funding will come from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant, and Ramona Coleman, Assistant Superintendent of Professional Learning, is here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Ramona?
What exactly is this being used for? Is there a certain program? Is there a certain grade level?
So the grade level is pre-K through 12, so it's for all of our teachers in the district and for all of our students. So again, around the 4 elements in the 6 C's, our teachers have basically, when we think about the philosophy and sticky learning of deep learning, it's like, really, what can you give us that will help and support us with project-based learning? So this platform, the resource, actually give teachers access to not have to think of projects that they would create. The projects are already there for them to choose, and they're aligned to the Indiana state standards.
Is this something that that you guys have rolled out maybe in a certain grade before, or is this brand new to all of the
So
teachers?
this is new this year. So we started out this summer with our instructional coaches at the building level to make sure that they understood the defined learning platform in order to support teachers at the building level. One of the things that we're wanting to do different this year, and so we've started also with sessions after school that teachers have the opportunity to sign up for. And so we're making sure that those sessions are available every Tuesday and Thursdays to make sure that teachers also have that personalized learning for themselves.
What does the various stakeholders will have the opportunity to earn micro-credentials that align with effective classroom practices? What is that?
So again, not just giving teachers the tools and processes to actually design project-based learning, we also want to make them champions of learners, so they're going to actually have the opportunity to earn micro-credentials. So one of those, we know that part of our Curriculum 2.0 process is having exemplars around performance-based tasks. And so with this platform and actually using the coaching of Jay McTighe, who is actually an excellent educator, researcher in that field, teachers will be able to engage at their own time online through modules and earn a micro-credential and how to truly create performance-based tasks. And there's actually 6 different micro-credentials that our instructional coaches will earn, and then they'll use that learning to support teaching at the classroom level.
Thank you.
So this is only for this school year, which we're almost halfway through?
So the reason it just says that it's a 1-year contract, so instead of doing a 3-year contract, is really for us to look at the data, see how many teachers are actually engaging and using the platform. And then at the end of this year, we'll make a decision based upon funding dollars again on which buildings are truly utilizing the defined learning platform, and then we'll decide what that contract will look like for the following year.
So I was able to kind of see a planning session that relates to this, I believe. I mean, they were taking the elements of different classes and putting them together on a project that they were working on, so they cross-reference, et cetera. And my question to them was, once you put in all this effort to do this project this year, do you plan to use it forward? Like, this is a unit that you're working on now, and you've put all this effort into make sure that it is a deep learning and cross-platforms. And they said, yes, we hope to use it again. That's the plan. So I would foresee that if people utilize this year, is that the plan for if they went together and made a project that it's continual, if it's a good outcome?
And yes, that's what's nice about the platform, is that basically give teachers the opportunity across the district to share their great work from their voice and from the teacher's voice. And you also have part of that platform where you can upload the projects that you're actually building with students. And as long as we keep the product or keep the platform, teachers will have access to that. And then also through Human Capital Management University that we're going to talk about next month, it'll also be a space within that platform that teachers will be able to share this information.
So if we do not continue to keep this for more than 1 year, they won't be able to access any of the planning that they put together for?
They will, because we'll just transfer it out of that platform to one that's internally with us.
Okay.
Anything else?
How many people are using this so far then, would you say?
So basically, right now, every coach at the building level that was available to take part this summer, and then right now, based upon sessions that we've had approximately with our teachers, I would say around 3 to 4 teachers at least from each building. We had kind of a 2-week break that's there, that we had numerous teachers and administrators that had signed up for. So again, that's why we're doing those sessions, so that we can have at least a voice in every building, 2 to 3 teachers that can take this back to their building along with their instructional coach to gain the energy for that.
So they've already been using it even though we have not, we don't officially have a contract with them?
Well, that's what's really great about this company, is because they gave us the opportunity to kind of explore, even starting with coaches this summer. And so really, they have not received any form of payment or anything at this time. However, they just gave the service to us as a district to make sure how much gain that we could have with our teachers in using it. This is the first time that they've shared with us. They honestly did not truly know whether it would work or not, that we used a different approach as far as going with our teachers after school to see if we could get teachers to volunteer to sign up for the sessions and then take it back to their buildings. So it was almost like a contract that we were trying to acquire with them, but in acquiring this contract, it was almost like a pilot with them to see if this really worked as far as taking this work into other districts.
Anything else? Thank you, Ramona.
You're welcome.
Roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. And that takes us to ratification of the Fort Wayne Education Association contract. It is recommended that the board hold a meeting to allow public comment before voting to ratify the collectively bargained agreement between the Fort Wayne Education Association, FWEA, and Fort Wayne Community Schools. Over the summer, teams from the FWEA and FWCS informally bargained their contract and came to a tentative agreement. On September 24th, 2021, the FWEA ratified the contract with 100% approval of those teachers who voted. On September 27th, this board conducted a public meeting to discuss CBA, which was made available on the FWCS public website as required by Indiana Code 2029-619. Because this board must allow public comment before ratifying the tentative agreement, we will open the ratification meeting to allow public comment before we vote to ratify the contract. Chief Operations Officer Charles Kamak or General Counsel David Amon will be available to answer questions. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. So we will open the meeting for public comment. Anybody like to speak? Okay. Seeing there is no one, we will close the meeting and we will vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I for me, and we are very happy to get to do this for our teachers. We really appreciate everything they have been doing, especially in the last year and a half. Okay, next we have ratification of the Teamsters Local 414. Noah?
It is recommended the board ratify the negotiated reopeners of the collectively bargained agreements between Fort Wayne Community Schools and Teamsters Local 414, Fort Wayne Classified Association, FWCA, and Fort Wayne Nurses Association, FWNA. These three unions have 2-year contracts that were reopened exclusively to renegotiate compensation. The salary and wages of these employees will increase by 4%, consistent with the increase for teachers. These negotiated changes will assist in the recruitment and retention of bus drivers, nurses, and classified staff. Chief Operations Officer Charles Kamick Jr. or General Counsel David Amon will be available to answer questions.
Thank you. Now, is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
So this is, as mentioned, for nursing and bus drivers. What are the other classified staff that would be affected by this?
All of the staff in the Fort Wayne Classified Association include our electricians, plumbers, mechanics. I believe there are nutrition services drivers in there. There's some drivers as well. It's a collection of just classified personnel. I believe grounds maintenance are in that union as well.
And this will take them out from 2 to 2023 then, or 20?
It's a 2-year contract that would be retroactive to the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st of this year. So, yeah, 2023.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, David. Okay, roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
All right.
Steve?
Aye.
Aye from me. All right, thank you. And next is salary increases for non-unionized members. It is recommended that the board approve wage and salary increases for all staff not represented by a collective bargaining unit. All active permanent staff not represented by a collective bargaining group will receive minimum of 4% wage or salary increases for the 21-22 and 22-23 fiscal years. Other compensation and benefits for all employees represented by a collective bargaining group will remain the same. Permanent staff does not include substitutes, temporary, or inactive employees. Charles, again, will be available to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Second.
I take that back. Sorry.
Motion?
I move for approval.
I second.
Thank you. And Charles, can you tell us who this would include?
It would include administrators, so principals, assistant principals, directors, managers, supervisors, those employees who are not represented, so instructional assistants and bus assistants.
Guidance counselors?
Yes, guidance counselors, case managers, those folks.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
The reason I backed away from my motion is I will abstain for this because my wife is in that category you mentioned. So I wholeheartedly support this, but will abstain from voting.
Thank you.
Charles, so everyone across the board is getting 4% raise then, except for school board members and the supervisor?
There'll be a few people who are outside of the pay range, but
Okay.
very, very few. It's going to be like 98.99%.
Great, okay.
And do we have in dollars how much we're representing in pay increases tonight that we're approving between teachers and this group and nurses and bus drivers?
The first year for the teacher,
That's why we have a CFO.
the first year for the teachers is $6.8 million and $7 million in the second year. And then the non-teaching staff, it's $3.4 million each year.
And if I remember correctly from the last meeting, Charles, we are going to pay retroactively July 1st. I think David mentioned that. And if everything is on target, our employees should see that around Thanksgiving time. Is that correct?
Black Friday is when they would receive those payments.
Don't spend it all at one time.
I use that line, yeah. So it's either July 1st or when you started working for this corporation. So we
Okay.
did hire, we're still hiring people.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And roll call vote. Raleigh?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Noah?
Abstain.
Steve?
Aye.
And aye from me. All right. I believe that ends our business portion of the meeting. Am I correct? A long list of items. So, all right, we will move on then to our co-curricular activities report, and Faye Williams-Robbins, Deputy Superintendent, Shanita Bolton, Director of Pre-K through 12 College and Career Readiness, and Virgil Tharp, District Pre-K through 12 Athletic Director, will present on the district's co-curricular activities.
Good evening, President Duff, Dr. Daniel, school board members. We, being myself, Shanita Bolton, who is our Director of College and Career Readiness, and Virgil Tharp, our District Liaison, Athletic Liaison, and we don't have a signal.
She's on, we need someone at the laptop.
Okay. He's going to go out and do that.
We're trying to connect our PowerPoint, so hold on for a moment.
Tim's password, Tim Moya.
You need a password, maybe go in and
While we're waiting on that, I will go on and kind of share a little bit about why we're here tonight. Virgil Tharp, who is our district athletic liaison, will speak after me. And we're going to share information tonight around co-curriculars and then have a specific focus on our athletic work. Over the last 4 years, we have been working with one of our alumni, Jason Baker, who has been stepping us through a process known as STRATOP, which is a strategic planning process. And so tonight, we're going to have Virgil and Shanita Bolton to share that work. But initially, I'm going to share information regarding our connections and as we think about how many students have been involved and are involved in our co-curriculars. We have about 15,500 middle schoolers and high school students within our district, and almost 6,000 of those students are involved in some way throughout co-curriculars, which could be speech club, any of the other clubs that we have, could be athletics, band, vocal music programs that are involved in those activities. We have enjoyed our work with Jason Baker, who is one of our alumni, also a former NFL player. And so Jason has brought us his expertise when it comes to this work in STRATOP, because it's something he's been trained in, but also his expertise when we think about athletics and how that should look within our district and how we can connect that to our college and career readiness in preparing our students, not only during the day when they're in the classroom, but also when we think about our students and what they do after school that connects to the work that we have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the first slide is, and that has to do with why we are now going with the term co-curricular as opposed to extracurricular. I know when I came through school and all the way up until about last year, we always referred to what students did outside of the school day as extra, as if it were not at all connected to what students should be doing and how they function, and there we are, how they function within the classroom. And so as we go through this, our agenda is up now. I'll be making the introductions as I have. We'll talk through the agenda. And then we're ready now for the co-curriculars versus extracurriculars. There'll be a short video to share around all the co-curriculars, and then we'll get into the deep work of what's been happening with StratOp. After that, Shanita will talk about the things that we're doing and looking forward to moving forward, and then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. So co-curriculars. When you think about extracurriculars, and when parents and students and all have talked about that, we've talked about it as if it's not part of academics, something additional, the additional activities that typically are not seen as academic in nature. But co-curriculars we consider to be part of the curriculum, part of the academics, and where we intentionally learn how to take things that students do outside the school day and tie them to the things that we want and need to do to build character, to build skill as they move and do things into the world outside of us once they graduate. So there are reasons why nationally, as we have surveyed students, not we Fort Wayne Community Schools, but researchers, asking students what keeps them engaged in school. And so they've listed 3 top things: relationships with teachers, school spirit, and whether teachers showed interest in them, listened to them, and praised them for the things that they did. And so when we think about co-curriculars, when we think about all the things that students do outside of school day, but potentially still tied to school, we see that through coaches, through teachers, through the activities that happen after school, we are hitting those top reasons why students say they stay in school, why they say they graduate, and why they say they stay engaged. And so at this point, we're ready for the video, and I know that's going to take a couple of seconds for us to get up, and so we'll have Virgil come to the podium at this time.
Good evening. All right. So as this video is loading up, is a snapshot of just some of the experiences that our student athletes, also students who are participating in other clubs, what they experience and the importance and the why behind it.
Yeah, she's talking to him. She's got a headset where she's talking to him.
He's working on it.
Athletics, football specifically here in this case, is an extension of the educational process that goes on in our buildings. And so, last year, although there were many different obstacles we had to overcome, our kids and our program learned from all the things that go on, and it's a great preparation for what they're going to face life. Life's going to give them all kinds of turns and curves, and we got to adapt to do the best that we can.
So as we strengthen our athletic departments, the infrastructure, we work on developing their physical development, but more importantly, work on their leadership and mental development. We also become an extension of the classroom, which is very important to our student athletes, our families, and especially to our community.
I think music education, just like so many things, it's the things that it gives the kids, the discipline, the time management, the drive to work to make themselves better every day, every rehearsal. Working as a team, we all have to work together to make the whole group better. It is, I think, it's invaluable. The confidence that it instills in the kids. Every audition that they do, they get better, they get more confident, they take that out into the world, into the workplace. It teaches them how to interview better because they're just more confident in themselves. But one one of the other things, I think it keeps kids in school. I see so many kids, and over my years with being here 34 years, I've seen so many kids that stay in school, graduate, get a diploma from Fort Wayne Community Schools because of choir, because of the music programs that we have here. It's the one thing that keeps them in school. It's their love. And sometimes it takes a lot of talking to keep them here. Sometimes it takes a lot of energy and it takes everything, but it is so worth it.
I've had students come back to me and say later on, as they're in their careers, that being in a theater class helped them be able to talk in front of other groups of people, their employers, employees, and it's just made a difference. And it just helps create a better, more well-rounded person. And the statistics show that kids who are involved in the arts have higher grades, and are more active in their school, and which is important.
Our coding club is working on learning different programming concepts through various tools and online websites. I've always really been kind of big into self-regulated learning and student-driven learning. So the way I structure those clubs is the kids obviously want to learn about coding, so I set up different avenues for them to learn about it, and then I teach them how to look for tutorials and use the tutorials and pause and go back and look again. Our coding club is using a lot of things like Codable and Code Academy and Code.org. Our robotics club uses our VexIQ systems to develop robots. They design the robots, they build the robots, and they program them. It's all student designed, student built, student programmed. When we talk about tech literacy, to me, it means so many different fields. It's not just being able to understand how computers and engineering and technology works, but also how to troubleshoot those things, and that takes creativity and problem solving. You got to be able to think around the problem and understand the different options that you might have to test that problem to see what is going on.
So we'll give him a chance to bring the slide back up. Okay, so as we move on, we would really like to take the time the rest of our time to spend looking at the work that we have done with Jason Baker and the impact that's having on our athletics currently, as well as plans for the future.
So why? What is the purpose? First of all, it's the academic achievement. Athletics as a co-curricular to support our student athletes and students at large and are pursuing for college and career readiness. Also, to assess and obtain athletic scholarships for student athletes. The student athlete, we want to redirect their mind, have a laser focus of development and support of student athletes in the classroom, and their designated sport and future goals and plans. Long-term, safety and well-being. Create a sustained system and programs that support athletes' safety, well-being, and character development. What is the mission? Why are we really doing this? Ultimately, we want to pursue excellence, provide opportunities, and enrich lives. The startup process, much like Faye said, is a comprehensive and strategic planning process that provides a structure for developing a college and career ready K-12 athletic program. The main thing is for us to have an assessment of where we were, a current assessment of where we are, which will allow us a greater sense of perspective of where we want to go in the future. From that assessment and perspective, we will develop a clear action plan, purposefully crafted to deliver measurable outcomes. So what are our desired outcomes? Collaboration with our stakeholders, whether it be internal or external. Strategic partnerships that assist in acquisition of support and resources, and standardization of high quality, high functioning, and well-maintained facilities. More outcomes is provide high quality academic and athletic experiences for all students and adult participants, effectively share the purpose of vision of FWCS athletics, increase participation in our co-curricular programming, and become the K through 12 educational destination of choice for student, family, volunteers, and employees. Throughout this process, we have identified some particular pillars we want to tackle and trying to create the situation that we want for our athletic programs. From there, we identify people from around the district with the understanding that athletics is just not playing on the basketball court or a field, but it includes transportation, human resources, fiscal affairs, teachers, and the community at large. So in that attempt to make sure that we had true perspective, we brought in multiple people, and these are some of those pillars that we have been tackling over the past couple of years. The first one is the root system led by Director John Key, and that is to develop and implement systems that will grow and optimize athletic programs and offerings across the district K through 12. That's that vertical articulation. Second is the academic support system that's spearheaded by Coach Tippman from Snyder. And this is to develop and implement a comprehensive system and structure that will support the academic growth of our student athletes. Third is culture, or what we'd like to call the front porch. This is spearheaded by John Hauser, principal at Wayne High School. And this is to create coaching supports through professional learning and leadership development for students and adults that ensure a rich, equitable experience, building confidence and pride. Other, what we call AIPs, or action plans, is fiscal discipline for athletics, and that is ran by Kathy Friend. This is to develop an athletic budgeting system that sustainably evaluates and supports current and future fiscal needs and growth. Again, we have facilities assessments, and that's spearheaded by Darren Hess. And this is to develop a system to evaluate and maintain facility functionality and sustainability. Another AIP is inventory, that is spearheaded by myself, and that's to develop a plan to assess, acquire, and maintain fully functional athletic equipment and supplies. Last two here is an IT initiative, and that's spearheaded by Andrew Schultz, a teacher at Northside. And this is leveraging digital to design an effective and efficient athletic program that engages students, parents, fans, and the community. Lastly is a marketing plan. How are we really going to get this message out? This is ran by our Director of Marketing, Jennifer Fisher, and that is developing a marketing plan to increase participation and attendance at all co-curriculars. So what have been the successes in these past couple of years? Start with elementary. We have restructured our current offering of co-ed basketball to creating a boys and girls team. And as right now, we're getting a lot of traction in making sure that some of our schools are creating those boys and girls teams to allow different development for the two different sexes. Also, increase athletic offerings. This year, we are able to pilot elementary flag football, where we had over 120 FWCS elementary students playing this year. And also, we look to create a club wrestling through our high school coaches for elementary.
For the
Yes, ma'am.
the co-ed basketball team, so before in the elementary, we had combined
Yes.
boys and girls team, one team for both boys and girls, and now we're looking at, or we are implementing separate teams for boys and for girls.
Yeah, the option is there if we have enough girls to participate, to have those things. As of right now, we have 10 schools that have identified they have enough girls to have teams. And much like years in the past, we look to see that it will grow over time.
Thank you.
Did the football start for elementary this year?
Yes, it was a pilot year. We ran it in 10 schools, from 1st to 3rd grade, partnered with our community a team of PAL as well as NEFA, which allow us to use their coaches and their platform and infrastructure and embed into their programming. Great response. We just had our championship tournament 2 Sundays ago at Northrop. We had over 150 kids participating in that league, and the Seahawks actually won that game. And it's a combination of Wayne and Southside.
And then wrestling is starting up soon, or?
Yes, we look to have it after the wrestling season. There's an elementary season, and we want to utilize our coaches using them as the experts. And what we'll try to do is have our feeder patterns all feed up into our high schools, and they'll be able to compete throughout that season.
And that'll take place after the high school season then?
Correct.
You've mentioned K-12 several times, so these elementary programs, what age groups, I mean, can you be a kindergartner? Or is that down the road?
No, kindergarten, if we follow the science, is a little early unless a student is a little more developed. We have some instances of that. But as far as getting our legs under us, we wanted to just keep it from that 1st to 3rd grade for the football piece. Wrestling is really on interest. So K through 5.
So flag football and wrestling typically lend to male sports. I did see some girls participating in flag football. Can the girls participate in the wrestling?
One of the fastest growing sports is female wrestling.
Sure.
Soon it will be, the state is seeing that the demand is so high that it will be recognized as its own sport probably next couple of years.
So will we start to expand other athletic offerings based on these piloted? Because we do have several sports in our schools that are lacking. Obviously, football is a big draw. Wrestling is growing tremendously, but we do have sports within our 4-ring community schools that really are lacking athletes, and the developmental program is essential to get those kids, or the doors to open to the kids. So do we expect to see this grow and using these as the pilot?
Yes, we're trying to identify the best formula. I think each sport is going to be different, but if we can get a baseline of how we want to approach that question of how can we increase sport, not just to say that we're increasing it, but having some bones behind it and making sure kids are learning skill and not just being thrown into a fire. So we want to really assess it and have true perspective of what is truly needed for these athletes to grow and mature, especially at a younger age. But more importantly, get them in front of those, or having those opportunities so they can decide if they like soccer, if they like golf, if they like tennis. A lot of our students are exposed to those sports at an early age, so they are deterred to play as they get older.
Sure, because I've done a lot of research, and studies show that a child a lot of times picks their path by the time they reach 5th grade. From what they've been exposed to. So back to the equity in girls, you said there were 10 schools that have girls interested in their basketball program. What happens if a school only has a few that are interested and not enough to make a team? Will they combine or give those girls the opportunity?
Yes, no one will be kicked off a team. We'll continue with the co-ed approach, and as the interest increase, we'll be able to expand as more girls or guys want to try out and play.
Great, thank you.
Are these, the football and basketball and the wrestling, are these being offered at all elementaries? Are you picking certain ones to kind of get it started?
This first year, as far as flag football, we picked 10 schools that aligned with PAL's infrastructure. We didn't want to, well, first of all, we want to see the landscape and see what we honestly can do and make sure it's effective. If we open it up for the whole district, we probably would have too many kids compared to coaches. But we also, more importantly, wanted to make sure that we have the right formula moving forward and increase as needed.
And then you'll do the same thing with the club wrestling? Kind of pick a few schools?
As the club wrestling will be somewhat different, as we'll use internally our coaches, so there won't be restrictions as a school won't be a pilot year. It'll be open to all the schools as far as elementary that feed into their high schools.
So will each elementary have, will they be practicing on site? Will they be going to the feeder high school for practices? How does that work?
We want our elementary and middle school students to experience or see themselves in the place they're going. So we want them going directly to the high school as much as possible so they can see themselves on the wall, see their name on a plaque, envision themselves holding a trophy in the same space at the age of 8, 9, 10 years old, as early as possible.
And are we providing that transportation so that all students have an opportunity to do this?
Transportation will not be provided for the club.
Is there a cost to participate in any of these, the younger group?
There was a cost for flag football, and that was $25. And they were able to get an NFL, because partnered with NFL flag as well, and the Indianapolis Colts. So if you were on part of the Viking team, you had a real Vikings jersey, as well as shorts, compared to NFL flag, which is another flag program, which is $150. So there was cost because we were also going through PAL, but it was at a very reduced price. And we're still assessing the wrestling piece as well, seeing the expenses, the duration, and see if we can offset those costs.
Hey, Virgil, this is Steve Corona on the telephone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
First of all, just congratulations to you and Jason on expansion of the program at the elementary school and the thoughtful approach to the strategic process here. But I do have two concerns. One is, are we going to make sure that our coaches are qualified to coach the sport they're leading? And secondly, I know you are very interested in increasing the number of scholarships, college scholarships our kids get. But my concern is that I didn't hear anything in your plan about establishing or expanding a culture of winning in our schools. Without winning teams, kids don't get scholarships.
Well, and part of the plan is also part of the physical development. As Darren has presented weeks before, this our pursuit of addressing the physical development for student athletes and redefining basically what our expectations are and partner with Parkview and their exercise science people. We look to really address the sports performance and developing our athletes as athletes and getting away from the old regime of bigger, stronger, faster, where the weight room looks like it's only for a football team. With this new approach and really investing heavily into the physical development and bringing in exercise science people and partner with Parkview Health and Medicine, we have the experts there to create individualized programming for our teams, as well as individuals to work on their physical part. The more important part is now their academic. Regardless how strong or how fast you are, it matters not if you're not passing your classes or if your SAT score is just doesn't meet the bar. So another part of that, especially it's under Kurt Tittman's AIP, the academic support. Our athletes are under a lot of strain. They're in school all day. They go to practice, some work. They need extra time, extra help. A lot of times we just take it for granted that they are doing okay because they don't speak out. But we have far too many athletes fall through the cracks that could play at a Division I school, Division II or III school, but because they're maybe not as confident in asking for help, they fall through the crack. They also lose opportunities moving forward. So it's two approaches with that. As far as with that individual students, the academic, and making sure that they're academically sound and have the tools they need to move on to the next level. And then also is the physical development, which will change the mindset of an athlete. If you feel a little more superior on a field or court, you'll play it with more confidence. A lot of the people we play against have these type of programmings built into their school structure, which allows them to gain a competitive edge, especially after a couple of years within that program. Did that answer your question, Mr. Cronin?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. And I do hope that you address the other question about making sure that our coaches are competent to lead our kids on the field.
And that's also part of the front porch of the culture, is investing into our coaches and professional learning. And learning, because not all our coaches are teachers. A lot of them are lay coaches, and they don't know the full education process. So being able to support them and teaching them how to teach, because the majority of our best teachers are coaches. Coaching is teaching. But also giving them the tools they need to identify some things that kids may lack, whether it be social, emotional, or just support that they need growing up being a teenager. So much like with the flag football, if a coach is wanting to be a part of it, they have to go through a process of USA football certifications, which are little, I'm sorry, the term is lost. But basically, they had trainings online that they had to complete to be certified to coach. So as we keep pushing forward and making sure that our students have the support we need, we also will support our coaches and making sure that they have the tools needed to be successful in the field as well.
How about going backwards the other way? Our teachers who are coaches already, what kind of steps are we going to give them who may have stepped up in a sport that needed a coach, but may lack the skills to take a student athlete farther because they've lacked skills to.
And we see that a lot. Sometimes we need warm bodies. And even at that, like at the middle school level, we have coaches meetings and we converse with each other. It's kind of a fraternity and sorority in the sense of if someone needs help, we give it to them, especially if we know they may lack the experience. But majority of the coaches that I see are highly effective aren't really a true X and O person, but they get to the heart of the student athlete, and the student athlete will perform at a higher level just because of their relationship with that coach. So it's not always, hey, that you have to be the next Bill Belichick, but it's more the relational piece that has that sustaining and enriching that life long term. Every athlete has a coach that they just remember, and it's not because they taught them, how to throw a football. It's that they invested in them and they knew that they care. So there's a combination of both that we have to make sure, or that balance, that we just don't have coaches just eager to win, because sometimes that creates a negative situation to where they put a kid in a compromising position.
You had mentioned about some of the people involved in one of the, I think it was a teacher at Northside from a data analytics Talk a little bit about that and how that's being implemented with these athletes in this program.
That was looking how can we use tech as a way of helping, whether, so Andrew Smits, who also is a teacher at Northside, but he does programming as well with students, computer science. He also teaches there. It's not just him solely, but with those AIPs, there are teams built under there. So they may be the point person that reports out, but we bring in Tim, we bring in Jack Bird, people who are experts in that field as well, and we bounce ideas back and forth and identify what's the best course moving forward for our district.
But how are we using that with the kids?
Well, the IT is more of how we can get information out compared to we're teaching kids directly how to use technology for athletics. It was that initiative is more for us internally.
Okay.
I have one more question. So you spoke about the kids falling through the cracks.
Yes.
Are we going to have a specific point person at each school who becomes that co-curricular liaison who's watching for whether it be music, athletics, whatever? There are certain requirements, and I can remember back in high school there was a person there who specifically managed to make sure that you've met your requirements academically before you even pursued anything further, whether in any co-curricular. And I think that we went away from that. Are we bringing that back? Is there going to be a point person for these kids?
Yes, a part of that academic support, we'll look to identify someone that will work hand in hand with our athletic department as well as the counseling department to make sure that those students don't fall through the cracks and they can have on time, right on time data of their grades, but also a person that can work in the building that can work with other teachers and making sure that the students getting the help that they need directly from the teacher compared to someone who may be running tutoring. So it's relational. We want that person to be a teacher so they can work with their coworkers, but also someone who's knowledgeable enough to where they can work directly with their student athletes as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So would that be, I guess, would that be like part of a coaching staff? Would they get, is that a different title that they would have? Would they receive a certain amount of pay? Is it volunteer? One of my questions kind of goes along with Jen. I've heard just from parents who have student athletes who are very knowledgeable about the requirements for college, how to negotiate and navigate those process of getting those scholarships and things like that, that there are a lot of students who do not have that same support. And so like you said, you know, they're decent athletes, but they miss out on these opportunities because they don't know what to do and they don't have that support. Would that person also be that liaison for that, you know, that student in potential universities who are looking at them to bring them on?
That this person will be someone we will look at as a coach or a stipend of such that will work directly with the athletic department. Their main focus would be making sure that they're on course to graduate and making sure that they, you know, aren't falling through the cracks and they have the support that they need. As far as being knowledgeable on NCAA, the requirements, that process will be introduced to the students through myself as well as the athletic directors and working with counselors as well and making sure they understand the requirements. So it's not solely just one person, but a collective body that addresses the needs of our student athletes.
So I'm going to ask if Virgil can finish his part of this, because one of the reasons that Shanita is last is because she's going to tie these together around the support that students will receive from counselors so that they are really student athletes and not just athletes.
So as far as middle school, some of our successes, we added assistant coaches stipends for all sport offerings on all 3 levels. And this is important due to the restructuring, and this is the second point, reevaluating game structure and change from grade levels to junior varsity and varsity, which allows for the lower level student athlete to gain more experience compared to just the varsity team getting all the attention.
Thank you.
And finally, here is high school. Created a plan and timeline for the installation of turf fields for our remaining high schools. Created a plan and timeline for the renovation of weight rooms, as stated before, beginning this December. Increase a focus on strength and conditioning, which I spoke on briefly after Mr. Corona's question. But through this, we partner with Parkview Sports Medicine, and we have an exercise science person that focuses on sports performance in all of our 5 high schools. This person, along with the strength and conditioning teacher, will tackle the physical development of all student athletes. And that is our goal, that every single student athlete is able to be in this program. Then finally, alignment of PE curriculum offering for that strength and conditioning class, so that each school is operating at the same level and speaking the same language. As you know, we have a lot of mobility in our students, so we want, if a student goes from South to Snyder, that they understand the process and have the same expectation compared to now where there's different languages spoken.
Thank you. Good evening. So moving forward, you've heard from me before in regards to college and career readiness. And one of the exciting things, and glad that K-12 athletic alignment is under that umbrella of college and career readiness, because we want to ensure that there is a close connection for students with co-curriculars and curricular offerings. And I want to follow up with Ms. Booker's question in regards to that education of families. As you know, with college and career readiness, we are offering those supports. We do that along with athletics and K-12, offering actually special college visits for athletics. We're offering telling students early of application process, scholarship opportunities, FAFSA application, working very closely when we think about NCAA guidelines, because a school GPA does not equate to NCAA GPA. So it's really important that we're beginning to have those conversations even at that elementary, middle school level, so they're prepared by the time that they reach high school. Also, relationship building. We are really working and focusing on mentorship for these individuals, as well as providing them internships, job shadowing opportunities. One of the things often we hear from a lot of athletes, and we never want to put out their fire, they want to be on the NFL or they want to be in the NBA, and that is great. So we encourage that, but we also say, so what is also the other thing that you want to do? And we begin to look at their interests, their skills. All that we do with students is to ensure that they have an enhanced education, that we're really focusing on those 6 C's, as you heard from Ramona earlier, and those 4 E's as we think about deep learning. Also, as we think about the pipelines of trades, advanced manufacturing, health sciences, teaching, e-commerce, IT and data analytics, how are we working with athletes at an early age to really begin to explore their academic interest? And also for those students who may not want to go directly to college, what might that look like for a viable career? As you know, Fort Wayne Community Schools, we educate all. And if I could highlight it and underline it 20 times, I would, because we want to ensure we're educating all students to high standards. And we want to ensure that our athletes are educated to high standards. And most importantly, we want students to know, families to know, our community to know that co-curriculars play an extremely important part of that journey to accomplish this mission. So we're going to take additional questions if you have them at this time.
You mentioned that our athletes can do college visits, or they have help through FACE, College and Career Readiness. How do they know about, are their coaches relaying this information, or are the kids having to, it kind of goes back to Raleigh's question.
Definitely.
On how these children that maybe I've decided I want to become a college wrestler.
So what
I have
we
no
do-
idea.
Sure.
And my coach didn't know that that's where I wanted to go with it. I mean, maybe I'm just a good athlete, but never thought that I was going to pursue that, and no one pushed me to do that. How would we know?
So we use multiple means for any of our college visits and opportunities. One, specifically for our athletes, we are sharing that information not only with coaches, but with athletic directors and their counselors, because we want them to be getting it in numerous forms. Also, that information, schools are posting that on their Schoolology platforms, as well as going in our monthly newsletter. And we're going on Wednesday, be taking a group of 40 athletes to Grace College for a visit. And they will get that to hear from a college perspective of what is expected for them early so they can be preparing and be ready when they go to college.
So all athletes are finding out about this? Because I have an athlete in high school, and I have not, as a parent, I haven't seen anything. I check my Schoolology. I haven't seen any opportunities, and maybe that's not her sport or whatever that is, but I have yet to see anything offered, and I'm just wondering where we would find that.
So you should be able to find that information specifically for your athletes with coaches and with the athletic directors. Counselors would have that information as well. And you can also send me a follow-up email and we'll do some checking on that for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
The students that you're taking to Grace, what grade level are they in?
The focus on 11th and 12th. This is an actual leadership summit. In a sense, we don't want to jeopardize anyone's eligibility as far as NCAA. So they will be, the criteria is a GPA of 3.0 or higher, 11th and 12th, but if there are some underclassmen that are showing promise via recommendation from their coach or from the athletic director, they'll be able to attend as well.
Great. And are we thinking of making connections with area coaches that are alumni of FWCS? And I'm just going to call out Maria Marcasano because she's my friend and she's also my work colleague. But are we taking our student athletes to a PFW game to see what that looks like, get them in that environment? I just ask because as a student, I was a first-generation college student, and I didn't set foot on a college campus until my volleyball coach took us to a PFW, or then IPFW volleyball game to watch the men's volleyball team. And that was the first time I had ever stepped on a college campus. So I just wonder, what is your goals or expectations for getting younger middle school students on a college campus?
That's in the works as of right now. In the past, we were looking, COVID hit and kind of derailed a lot of our planning, but we had plans of going to Marion College and having athletic experience and staying in a dorm room and professors in the whole nine. They'll stay there 3 days and as if they were a student athlete. So there are plans in the midst. COVID has been restricting a lot of it, but definitely it's more of a need at that middle school level for the exposure. Yeah. But it is happening in smaller pockets with some schools, especially with people who have good connections within the community.
Right. This kind of goes along with that because you did just mention that in order for those students to be able to go to the Grace, they had to have a 3.0 or higher. If we expose our younger students to that earlier and show them what the expectations are, I would think that may give them a potential goal to keep their grades up in order to be able to pursue other options. And so, is that are we looking at that as the plan, as getting those younger students and telling them, okay, these are what these kids did, but they had to have a 3.0 in order to get there?
Yes. Yes.
And I've heard Grace and I've heard Marion, great schools. Are you also taking students to medium and large-sized public universities as well?
Yes. So we take students to all of your main large universities that you can think of, the IUs of all states, Purdue, the list can go on and on. We also travel around the Midwest area for students, taking them to Michigan. We just took over fall break a group of students on a Chicago tour to visit schools there. We also, over spring break, take students to what we do a Southern Roots tour that is visiting half HBCUs and then the other half PWIs, because we want our students, we know and we tell them there's wonderful colleges and universities here. We encourage that, but we also know there's a big wider world than Fort Wayne, and we want to expose them and make sure that they realize there are other opportunities.
And we heard Dr. Schuler from District 214 in Illinois, and he mentioned taking first-generation parents along on those college visits. Because again, as a first-generation student, I think my dad, who's an immigrant from Mexico, had no idea how to tell me to even dream or aspire for secondary education because it was nothing he ever visualized himself. And so I think that that's really a key component to allowing our students, especially our students of color, be successful at the secondary level. So is there any thought to adding parents to these
We
trips?
actually have already started that through our Gear Up program. That is part of Gear Up, is getting those parents on campuses as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I did have a question for Virgil, actually. And in your makeup of your essential group of people, there wasn't anybody from performing arts. Is that just because your main focus is athletics? Okay, I was like, your video had performing arts, but, so that's, okay, got it. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, well, you can see we are passionate about our co-curriculars. And I think we can all agree that it certainly makes a difference when students get involved in sports, music, fine arts, everything. So we appreciate you sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Virgil. Thanks, Shanita.
Okay, I guess we are ready for board comments.
The only comment I have is that parent-teacher conferences are coming up. We all know that the more involved we are with our students and the better connections we have with our parents, the more successful our students are. I just encourage parents to take advantage of having that opportunity to connect with your teachers. And that's it.
I just, again, wanted to thank our state legislators who passed along an amount of money for us to be able to support and increase the salaries of all of our staff. I think that that's an important point to make, that we couldn't do it without them, and I appreciate that, and I'm hoping that our employees appreciate that too. And it was exciting to be able to pass that so that they can go shopping for Thanksgiving or support their children with funding, and hopefully we'll continue to see those increases, which would be fabulous. I also quickly, if you've never been to a STEM school, you should go visit a STEM school. I had been to Irwin last Friday and was so impressed with the things that are going on there, and the bots and the B-bots and the such and such bots and such a whatever. But those kids are amazing. They're coding in kindergarten. It's an incredible thing to see. So if you have young children and you haven't selected a school, go visit our magnet schools as an option, because there are things out there that you wouldn't believe that are happening in our schools. I wanted to thank the principal, Mary Kinnery, for having me for the day, and it was just a delight to be there for the day, and I was able to see Raleigh's children in action, and they were on task and having a fabulous time.
That's awesome. I was at Irwin Rocket, so I appreciate that. It's an awesome place, even when I was there. So, I just want to say thank you so much to all of our staff members. I am, like Jennifer mentioned, really excited to give everybody a raise. I think it's very well deserved. I can't say that we made it through because it's still ongoing, but thank you so much. I know it's been difficult. It's been a lot of extra work, It has been pivoting and then pivoting again and then doing a 360, turning on your head, flipping around backwards, dancing a jig. So it's been all those things. So just thank you so much to everyone on our staff.
No?
I'll echo Maria and Jennifer and Raleigh's comments. November 3rd and 4th, by the way, are parent-teacher conferences, right, Raleigh?
Yes.
And thanks again to the legislators, Jennifer said, and thanks to the staff and the folks at FWCS and you also in the audience from FWCS and all you've done over the last couple of years in particular. I'll point out that looks like we approved over $11 million worth of contracts for construction in our buildings, all with Fort Wayne companies, according to Darren, and almost $21 million worth of teacher raises on top of our $400 million budget that's sticking here in Fort Wayne and Allen County. So I think, you know, I'm a banker at heart and believer in the circular flow of money. And so, yes, we are a tax receiving entity, but then we put it back into people's pockets to hopefully spend here in Fort Wayne and Allen County to make things go even better. So that's all I got.
Steve?
Yes, I just wanted to thank all of my fellow board members for allowing me to participate. I know this caused us to engage in a roll call of every item before us, but I appreciate the opportunity to sit in on the board meeting starting Darren Hess. I will tell you that the technology saved me tonight, so I've sequestered myself in my son-in-law's den, and I have my PC up with the agenda material there, my iPad with the YouTube video, and then my phone to connect by audio. So I'm here, I participated. Kind of interesting, I'm in Hackettstown, New Jersey this evening, visiting my daughter. She's a Southside graduate, I think a year or two. I'm not sure if she was in Raleigh's class or not, but anyway, they're in Hackettstown. And as Ramona Coleman was talking about defined learning, discovered that the town next door, Hobbiton, is one of defined learning, is a defined learning customer. So before I leave New Jersey, I may give that school district a call and see if they're satisfied with the defined learning product. But anyway, happy to join by technology this evening.
We appreciate it. I think, wasn't it COVID that kind of initiated that law that was passed so that we could do this? So there are benefits of COVID, right, Steve?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Steve. Dr. Daniel?
Yes, first of all, again, want to thank both Charles and David for their work with all the various groups and the group leaders coming together. I don't know when I've ever seen 100% vote, but it happened, and I think that tells you how much we're trying to collaborate and work together. Also, in regards to the co-curriculars, you know, our goal is for each one of our students to have at least 2 events, whether it be a club, whether it be something involving the arts or sports, what have you. Just 2 events during the course of a year makes a difference. Makes a difference in their engagement, makes a difference in their success in grades, and just overall. It's a very, very good thing. So we're very fortunate to have all the opportunities we have for our students. And again, for us to continue to expand those, very, very appreciative. So just this afternoon, we spent about 3+ hours going through StratOp and where we're heading in our co-curricular areas. And I'm pleased with the progress, but also excited what the future is going to hold. So with that said, again, thank you to everyone who came on board. Contracts are passed, and thank you for, as a board, for approving those tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We missed our other October board meeting because we all attended the Indiana School Board Association conference that Monday and Tuesday. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Maria for organizing our sessions for us. We She made a little spreadsheet for us so we could make sure we weren't all attending the same sessions. And then Steve was also a presenter at one of the sessions. So I didn't get to see his, but it sounded like it went well. It was informative and also fun. So thank you, Steve, for doing that. If you read in the paper, maybe Friday or so, Forest Park Elementary is having raising funds for their playground equipment. And this is all-inclusive playground equipment, so people with disabilities will be able to use this equipment, I'm presuming. And if they can raise $30,000, what they want to raise is $113,000, but if they can raise $30,000 by November 23rd, they will receive a matching grant from the state. And currently, when I looked this evening, they had $20,917 raised so far. So I highly encourage you to donate to this cause, especially any Northside alumni. That you can find them at Patronicity, it's patronicity.com, Patronicity, and then just search for Forest Park and you'll find their fundraiser and you can donate right online to their great cause. We were visiting schools as part of Principal for a Day, which was last Thursday, I believe. And I got to visit, I'm even wearing my t-shirt, I got to visit our new virtual school, Fort Wayne Virtual Academy, is that what it is? Can't see without looking at my shirt. Their principal is Byron Brown, and he did a great job of informing me of all what goes into our virtual school. I was just really impressed because, when you hear virtual school, to me, that's a negative thing because there's so many that are just canned programs. Kids get lost, low graduation rates, things like that. But what was so great about ours is that, these students have a regular schedule that they follow, the traditional 9 to 4, whatever it is, with interacting with live teachers, teaching them via Zoom, no canned classes. It's all in a daily interactive. So that was really, really great. They have real-time lessons with their teachers, and they can participate virtually with a human, even though it's over Zoom. And it was great to see that they have spirit wear and they have school colors and just like a traditional school. So that was really exciting. I appreciate the time they spent with me, teaching me more about our new school. So I appreciate that. Okay. That's all I have. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
Move adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Raleigh.
Aye.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Maria. I'm ahead. Or Noah. Steve.
Aye.
Aye for me. Thank you. Okay, and now that we are adjourned, we